Hey guys, it's me, Ethan Upshur again, and I feel that I should tell you what happened in the aftermath of the St. Stephen's, incident, if you want to call it that. It was a nationwide scandal. It was all over Ethalonia, and I'll tell you what happened afterwards. So, me and Conway, we got in my Jeep, and we drove a little bit down the mountains into the woods, and we went into Ma's Cabin, which, if you don't know, Ma's Cabin, it's a fantastic country restaurant. Like, they have some of the best pancakes I've ever tasted. You see their pancakes, they're all golden crispy, not like McDonald's pancakes. They're real crispy and fluffy, and they serve them with butter on top, but the butter is slightly melted but slightly solid. Oh, so good. So good. And they serve the little syrup in little fancy syrup bottles. Oh, I love that. I just do. But anyway, me and Conway, we ordered those, and I was talking to him, and he said, well, I better get back to my family. And also, yeah, we should sue those guys. We can make a lot of money because they owe me money. I signed up to do their job and they never pay me. So yeah, they owe me money. And I agreed with them. So we called a lawyer. And we were looking through the law ads in the restaurant, and one name came across us. His name was Bernard Kale, but we all called him Barney Kale. And we called him, and he was a good lawyer. He was a nice guy. And the next day, we were at his law office, and he basically told us that, okay, yep, if you sue them, I can't promise that you'll win money, but with your testimony and the amount of testimony that's on the news, yeah, you're gonna win. And yeah, we were pretty happy about that. So, our lawyer, Barney Kale, typed up the lawsuit, and we had to fill out this, 90-page long plaintiff sheet. That might have been the hardest thing about this process. And afterwards, he served the papers to Markov, the company that was behind the St. Stephen's massacre. And then, it was in early October of 2013 that our lawyer called us and said, hey, Mr. Markov himself, the founder and CEO of Markov, is coming to Ethalonia to come and see you guys because he wants to settle the lawsuit. And I was just thinking, okay, I'm going to give this guy a piece of my mind. And we had to meet him in San Marquis because that's where the Ethalonian International Airport is, San Marquis. And we were supposed to meet him at a cafe near the airport and near the hotel he was staying at. And it was me, Conway, Barney, Mr. Markov, and his lawyer. Mr. Markov, he was a Russian man with a black shiny suit and black shiny hair. Even in a breakfast cafe, which I thought that was kind of weird, but okay. And he kept on talking about how he really liked the breakfast hot chocolate that they served in Palmyra, the name of the restaurant. And the whole time he was talking about how good our food was because they served him scrambled eggs and roasted pepper potatoes, which is very cultural in Ethalonia. We serve our scrambled eggs with lots of seasoning, and we roast our potatoes with lots of seasoning. That's our culture. And he just kept talking about the food, and I had two thoughts. My first thought was, oh my God, this isn't some horrible dictator like Stalin or Hitler. Like, he's just a normal guy. And also, I thought, okay, his company did some awful things. When are we going to talk about that? And so I brought it up to him. And yeah, that was an awkward conversation to have while we were eating together. And he looked up and said in his Russian accent, "Okay, I am sorry. We take full responsibility at Murkov for what happened. Markov, we take full responsibility at Markov for what happened. But we done goofed, okay? We done goofed." And I thought, done goofed? Like, bro, mental patients were killed. Most of your security staff was killed. Joel Blair, Richard Toney, and Dr. Eugenic was killed. Now, I killed Dr. Eugenic, but obviously I wasn't talking about that. And by the way, they're probably not going to arrest me because it was a room, it was a building full of violent, crazy people. They're not going to suspect me. Oh, and speaking of which, I feel like I better tell you what happened to those people. Most of the mental patients were killed by security, and some of them were killed by the Athenian National Guard. Although about 3 of them that was in the cell block made it out, and they were sent to a real mental hospital. And that poor young man who was being shown all those awful things in Dr. Eugenic's office, he was sent to Seaside Recovery Center, which Seaside Recovery Center, it's a nice, laid-back mental institution by the beach, and if you're good, they let you walk on the beach, and they have a lot of programs to help people. And also, that poor, unfortunate pregnant lady that was in his office, she was taken to a maternity hospital, and she got the mental and physical help that she needed. I hope. I don't know. I don't have any of their numbers. Because if I just randomly called them one day and said, hey, remember that place where you were locked up in and tortured in and likely caused you a lot of trauma? Can you tell me about that? Yeah, I think they would hang up pretty quick. But anyway, back to this story of meeting Mr. Markov and his lawyer in the restaurant. We done goofed. We done goofed, you see, because I met Dr. Eugenic in Germany, and he didn't seem like psycho to me. He seemed like a very smart individual, and he really seemed to know what he was talking about. He seemed like a smart man to me. And, about Richard Toney, we gave him a background check when we hired him. One that he did not pass, but he kept calling me hot, and I was kind of into that. So I hired him. Oh, come on. He had very good references. And about Mr. Joel Blair, he seemed like a very nice North Carolina native. He did seem like a very nice North Carolina native. He did. And he was very good at business and had very good references. But I suppose you want to hear about money. Look, don't take us to court, and we will give you $3 million. And Mr. Parker, I am so sorry. On behalf of Markov, take this check, which is the money that you were promised in the contract, and 20% interest. And you can have that whether we settle the lawsuit here or not. And Conway happily took it because, well, they do kind of owe that to him. And I said, okay, but what about the patients? And he said, okay. How about I pay all the patients' medical bills, and I give them a little bit of money too. Okay. And I said, okay, but what about Markov in Ethalonia? And then his lawyer came in with his German accent and said, well, Mr. Upshur, if you take this money now, we will leave Ethalonia forever. You will never hear of us or our company again. So, what say you? And I said, how much money we talking about here? And Barney Kale interjected and said, take it, Ethan, take it. I don't want to go through this big lawsuit. Take it. And then his lawyer slid the check to me, and he slid Conway another check. And I read it, and I nearly fell out of my seat. $1.5 million for us each. And then I said, well, what if we don't settle with you and we decide to take you to court next year? And the lawyer laughed and said, well, we can always hire someone to settle with you. But this time, you won't be paid money. You will have to get someone to pay for you to cover all the expenses, if you know what I'm talking about. And then Mr. Markov interjected and said, okay, we are saying that we are going to kill you if you don't accept, and if you let it get to court. But if you just take this money now, drop the lawsuit, we will leave Ethalonia forever. You have our word. We are not coming back. Because, well, we got a pretty bad reputation in this country anyway. In fact, I think I saw one of the waitresses spit in my hot chocolate. And Conway said, all right, well, I think we should tell everyone what Markov did, but I think we should just take the money and go. And Barney was like, yeah, come on, take the money and go. You can already tell everyone. You can shout it from the rooftops what they did. Because, come on, these guys are probably going to hire a hitman for you. And then, I don't believe in being bullied into doing something, but I really thought about going to court, but the other guys just didn't want it. So I decided to settle with them, and I was paid $1.5 million. along with Waylon, who was paid the same. Although Barney took some of our money, so it was actually more like $1.4 million. But still, I was paid quite a bit of money. And Conway used it to buy a mansion all the way up in the tip of Mount God. And I decided to use my money to move out of my apartment and buy a house with a couple acres of land. And then that was it with Markov for now. And I thought, how many other corrupt organizations are there out there that still do things like this? I bet I could make a pretty good living for myself exposing these people. And as I was moving in to my new house, I thought, oh my gosh, this could be my new calling. So I posted my big glorified ad on YouTube saying, do you know of any shady corporation or organization or just something terrible that needs to be exposed? Well, call me, Ethan Upshur. This is my email address right here. Email me and I'll see if I can cover your case. Thank you. And I got to admit, I kind of sounded like one of those crummy lawyers, but I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. And at first, nobody emailed me. In fact, the first few emails I got were scammers. And then another email I got in November was saying that they had a haunted house for me to check out because it was inhabited by original settlers of this country, but it was abandoned and allegedly haunted. And I had to explain that I don't do ghost, okay? I'm a skeptic in the paranormal, so no. And then I got a stupid email about investigating a former zombie village in Kentucky, and I said, no, I don't do zombies. And then I got another email about a village in Spain in January of 2014, and I said, no, I don't do zombies. A crazy cult, maybe. And that's how it went for a couple months until in February of 2014, I got an email from a man named Scott Coffin. Easy to remember, right? And he emailed me about some shady things that have been happening at this pizzeria in Texas. And possibly murder, but not a conviction. All right, that piqued my interest. And that is a story for the next day, so stay tuned. All right?